making our way round to Chapmans Pool, which is just over here. But this is a lovely sort of coastline along here. The rocks are amazing to have a look at. It's a couple of years ago since we came along this bit. We came back this way when we came back from Alderney. Just get rid of that bit of cord. When we came back from Alderney, we touched the end of the coast just there. But it's a couple of years ago since we went this way. We went down to Portland Bill and across to Torquay. But we're coming round here because there's a northeasterly coming, so kind of from that direction, and it's supposed to be really, really windy tonight. But as you can see at the moment, there's no wind at all. So yeah, I don't know what's going to happen there, whether that is going to come. But it's supposed to be sort of like late tonight, early hours of the morning. But yeah, I don't know. It certainly doesn't seem as windy as what was forecast, because there's absolutely none at the moment. So we just made our way out of Studland, Studland Bay, past the lighthouse here at the end, and then just along the coast, and it's just round this headland here. This bay is the one where the firing range is, so you have to just be careful when you're coming along this part of the coast. Sometimes you have to go quite far out, but it's 5:30 now, so should be quite quiet at this point. Catherine's up at the front. She's on lookout, just having a bit of a nosy. Chris is just sat watching the coast. And yeah, we're just motoring along, about 5 knots, 5.2 knots, got a little bit of current with us. And yeah, really nice, lovely evening. Well, we've got a lot of chain out tonight. We've got about 50 metres of chain out because the wind is getting up quite a bit. So we're just making sure everything's okay. Probably can't see very much now because it is getting on a little bit, and yeah, it's quite comfortable. There's a little bit of swell coming in from the sea, but the wind is coming off these hills. It's coming down the hills, northeasterly, down the hill and then out to sea, so it's an offshore breeze, so it's pretty good. But we've just moved across a little bit because the guy over there, he's got apparently 60 metres of chain out and he's moving a lot. So as he was swinging, he was getting quite close to us, so we've moved further across this way, and we've re-anchored over here. We're just to give everybody a bit more space really, and ourselves more than anything else. But yes, we've got all our chain out. Hopefully it won't be too bad and it'll start to settle down in the night a little bit. I think the bulk of the wind is due about now really, so hopefully it will start settling down. But you can see out towards Portland Bill over there. Just pan around behind. You can see some lights flashing on the end. I don't know whether the buoys or the lighthouse itself, but there's the kind of the lump of land that is Portland Bill. And then down this way more towards like Weymouth. So we might have a bit of a walk tomorrow. It's quite nice here. Have a bit of a walk and then maybe head down to Weymouth, spend the night sort of down there exploring, and then start making our way back possibly. But there's the wind now. We knew these gusts were coming tonight. It is what it forecast, so that's pretty good. And the nice thing here is that we're actually, like I say, we're being blown off the shore, so we're not being blown onto anything. If we drag, we'll end up just going out to sea. So our anchor alarm's set, that's great. There's nobody behind us, which I often like. So there's a few boats in front of us, so technically if they drag, they would drag into us. But we've all got quite a lot of space here, but I do like to be at the back, and you can always make a quick getaway. But yeah, all good, all settled down. We'll see what happens. Now I've not got the mic on, so hopefully you can hear me. We've left Chapman's Pool and we're just going down the coast now. We're heading towards Weymouth. We're going to see if we can get into Weymouth and spend the night in there. It was really windy in Chapman's Pool last night. It was gusting kind of 30 knots. One of the boats in front of us, he had to re-anchor at some point in the night. But I don't know whether it has that wind where it comes off the cliff and down into the bay, and because it was northeast, it maybe was doing that a little bit and just accelerating it, but very windy. It's quite nice out today, and we've only got a slither of front sail out, because we're getting still 16 knots, and then we're getting about 26 in the gusts, so we're absolutely fine with that. It's an offshore breeze, so the sea's not too bad, but we've got a little bit of swell behind me, probably see that. So we've got a bit of both going on here now. So yeah, it's quite nice conditions. We're doing really well. We're doing sort of 5-6 knots. Just slowed down a little bit because the wind's coming around. It's coming back again now. But Weymouth's just in the distance there, and Portland if we can't get to Weymouth. So that's what we're doing. Here you can see Portland, the entrance to Portland, and Yarmouth is just over here. So we're just coming in now. Not been a bad sail. We've done really well. Sort of, I'd say we'd averaged well into the 5 knots. Wind's dropped a little bit now, which is quite nice. But out there it was pretty gusty, and there was quite a big swell. Yeah, not a bad sail at all. There's no real dangers at the entrance to Weymouth. It's a well-marked channel, it's lit at night, it's wide, and there's plenty of depth. As you come up the river, there's an area on the right-hand side where you can stop. It's a little bit busier here, so you take your choice whether you want to stay the night here or you want to head further up the river to the marina. To get to the marina, you have to go under the bridge. At the bridge, there's some pontoons on the left-hand side that you can use to wait until the bridge lifts. Bridge lifting times are every 2 hours, starting at 8 o'clock and finishing at 6, although in the summer there is an additional lifting time at 9 o'clock. There's also a fish and chip shop right by the pontoon. It's a really nice town to explore, and there's plenty to do here. There's some really nice walks out along the pier, there's a fort to go and explore, there's some gardens, and loads more. There's quite a nice beach as well, so yeah, get yourself down there and have a look around. So we're just in Poole Harbour this evening. We've had a pretty good sail back today. It took us quite a long time because we had a bit of current against us to start with, and the angles haven't been all that great because the wind is still northeast and the wind is so strong still. Just pop my head up so you can have a quick look round. So we just anchored up in Studland Bay. We've had a good sail across from Poole this morning. We left Poole about 6 o'clock and we had northeasterlies again, and it was pretty rough, to be honest, when we left. It's calmed right down. We didn't film any of that. So we sailed across, and then we got to the Needles here, and we had to put the engine on for a little bit. So we motored about 40 minutes there and about 40 minutes at the other end. And then we started to sail again just up this bit. The reason we are in Studland Bay is because we ran out of fuel. So not a great thing to be owning up to, but completely miscalculated it. And I now know that the bottom quarter of our fuel tank is 20 litres, and that's all. So when we left Poole this morning, we were just, well, we were under a quarter, so we had less than that. As to how much less, I have no idea, because the guy's just been and put some fuel in it. We're in Sea Start, so Sea Start have just been out to us and put 20 litres in, and that's taken the fuel gauge just over a quarter of a tank. So yeah, probably left Poole with maybe, I don't know, 5 litres, maybe more, maybe 6 litres of fuel, and yeah, just completely messed it up basically. So not much more I can say on that one. Really helpful. Sea Start were really helpful. We let them know, obviously we sailed into this anchorage. I started the engine, so I started the engine just off the edge of the needles, just to give us a little bit of assist coming through. And obviously we ran it maybe for 30 minutes, so I would have said we used maybe 1.5 litres of fuel. And I looked at the gauge, and the gauge just disappeared at that point. So yeah, there was nothing left in the tank. So decided, like I say, to try and sail our way down this little bit, but the current was starting to turn against us, so we didn't really have much choice. So then I said, right, what we'll do is we'll come into this anchorage while we've still got propulsion, and we'll drop the anchor and we'll stay here for a little bit while we just get ourselves sorted out. So we did that. As I started to sail across, obviously the boat was still heeled. I tried to start the engine, and it started, but it started to splutter, and I just knew that it was starting to take in air and not fuel. So we sailed into the anchorage, and then when we got here, Chris was ready on the front and dropped the anchor straight away. And as she was doing the anchor, I managed to start the engine, and it did continue to run. So as I say, we made sure we were all safe, contacted Sea Start. Sea Start came out and put 20 litres in, and as I say, the gauge has gone back over a quarter. So I know now for myself not to let it run under that. So quarter is our empty. Once we get to a quarter, we need to fill this boat up, because that is just running that too low. But that's the only thing I would say, really, is just know or try and understand how much fuel you've got in the tank at any given point, whether that's from a dipstick or from a fuel gauge, or however you do it, but just try and get an understanding, because I clearly didn't have that, and I knew that at that point we'd still got fuel, and we hadn't. So yeah, I thought it was good to record that bit, because obviously a lot of our sailing it's all fine and it is for most part, but I thought it was important to put it in. I'm not looking for, clicks or views or anything. I just thought it was important to have that in there, to say that we obviously have made a mistake here, and basically I've run out of fuel.